Police in the 47th precinct in the Bronx say they have no suspects in the mob-type murder of a jailed gangster. Details coming up.
Weren't you told that?
Are we on the property?
Hey, come on. This is our street. This is our street. Off the property.
Why
you want to
can't
take
we-
pictures, shoot them from over there.
Why can't we go find Mr. Masselli?
You can't find him. Now, you know why you can't find him. Go across the street.
No, we want to see members of his family.
Didn't I tell you?
Hey, come on,
don't
hey,
touch
come on,
me.
come on, no, man. Come on, give me a picture.
Don't touch his camera.
Come on. Okay, well,
Get off the
This is
property.
private property for you. Come on.
This is
get up.
private
All
property. You have no
Come
business being here.
on. Hey, bro, come on, man. All right? Come on.
You gotta talk to him. That's what you talk to, not us.
Don't you understand? Don't you understand? I mean, you're illiterate or what?
I beg your pardon?
You heard what I said.
I didn't know you even speak the language.
I speak the language quite well.
Even good.
Talmud, call the cops.
I beg your pardon?
You're a fool. You know that?
You're building up to something, listener.
Yeah, what? You're on my property, pal.
Call the cops.
Yeah, call the cops.
An eyewitness
I'm
now.
aware of who you are.
Steve.
Look at dirty cock.
Put your head up, let him see you, Bob. Does this sound?
Tell you why you're getting a picture.
Godspeed.
I'm a junior. John Coleman,
in his pocket already.
John Coleman busted one marijuana.
Speed.
Smile. Wait.
I should say. At least he went in style. Nice car. He just came home from a feature, no one. Got a lot.
Get back at it. Come on. Give him a little They're movie style.
Quincy could have salvaged it.
No, Bobby Porter just got
Your name Corkan?
You got speed. Right. Speed. Got it.
Alright, get this car.
Got a car coming.
Many drives. That's what they're calling it. Channel, hello.
Okay, stop. Speed.
Calling you, movie. Calling 2 to 8 miles a day. Hey, don't, Dennis, don't.
Speed. Speed.
Oh, am I getting a picture? I walk across.
You got it.
They're up like 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, they've been here.
They got a cool guy.
Do you have them? Want some like guys in second theater? We shot him.
Is he in the closet?
Yeah, go ahead. Shot him.
man got out, another car stopped and jumped in.
Godspeed. Speed.
Hey, gentlemen.
Deputy Inspector.
Hayes?
Right.
That right?
That's right. What are you in charge of, Inspector?
I'm the executive officer of Bronx Detectives.
Okay, sir.
At about 8:15 p.m. last evening, August the 26th, a Mr. Nat Masselli of Scarsdale, New York, while operating his private vehicle, was shot in the rear of the head. He was pronounced DOA at the scene. One or possibly two perpetrators may have been involved. Mr. Masselli was shot in the rear of the head. It appears at this time that it was one shot was fired. A car was used by the perpetrators as an escape vehicle. We're looking for this car now. Mr. Masselli, Mr. Nat Masselli, is the son of Pellegrino Masselli, who is currently under investigation by federal authorities. We are currently looking into all aspects of Mr. Nat Pellegrino activities. We are in conference with federal, state, and city investigative units and seeking their assistance in the solution of this crime. The investigation is continuing, and at this moment, I have nothing further that I can offer you.
There was one witness, Inspector. What did that witness tell you he saw?
The witness saw a man running from the car and getting into another car.
Did he describe that car? The getaway
We have a brief description, but it's not complete and thorough, and at this point, we're not going to release it to you.
Do you have anybody lined up as a possible suspect,
At this
Inspector?
moment, we haven't.
No suspects?
No suspects at all.
Can you give us some background, please, on Mr. Nat Masselli?
Just that he's a male, white, 31 years of age, and he lives in Scarsdale, New York. And as I state,
And he worked at?
I understand he's with a construction outfit in Long Island. We're looking into his activities, as I said previously, at this time.
The same construction outfit with his father?
Masselli, who is he and where is he?
He's incarcerated by the federal authorities. We're looking into that further at this time now.
Inspector, the son is with the same company as his father? The son's with the same company?
We're trying to determine now his activities now, whether he's connected with his father and to what extent.
What is his father in prison for?
Pardon?
What is his father in prison for?
We're in connection with we're contacted the federal authorities trying to determine what he's in for, what he's involved with at this time.
Inspector, this has all the earmarks of a mob rub-out, no question about that. Is there?
It possibly looks at that way at this time.
Now, the people who were following him, the two people who...
Well, we don't know whether it was one or two.
They were in the second car. They were in one or two people were in the second car?
We haven't determined that yet.
Well, was there a car following him?
We believe there may have been a car. That's what we're investigating now.
And the
Do you
killer
have any reason to believe that the hitman may very well have been in the car with him? The person who pulled the trigger, was he riding in the car with him?
At this moment, it appears that the person that was riding in the car shot him.
from the rear?
He was shot in the rear of the head.
Was the passenger in the rear of the car?
He may have been in the rear of a car, or it may have been a front passenger who shot him as he looked to the left.
Is it fair to say that Nat Masselli had underworld connections?
At this time, I couldn't say.
What about his father? He's in prison as an underworld figure, right?
Well, his father is in prison, yes.
Now, as an underworld figure, was he alleged to be a member of organized crime? That's what he's asking.
Mr. Pellegrino, well, he's incarcerated, and I believe he is.
Can you
Now,
tell us what
Mr.
the
Nate
defense-
Masselli, we have no further information on the son.
What was going on between the time he was shot and 4 o'clock this morning?
We have no,
No,
that's,
but I mean, the detectives were working on, what were they doing all night?
well, this is what we're doing. We're conferring with our other agencies, we're seeking witnesses in the neighborhood, and continuing our investigation.
Any idea as to how Mr. Masselli arrived at that point where he was shot? Where did he come from?
That's what we're looking into at this time.
Inspector, the victim, is there any indication that the underworld would have reason to knock him off?
We're not aware of any reason now.
You have no theory at all?
No theory at this time. That's what we're looking into, all aspects of his activities, to see what he's involved in, who he works for.
Inspector, I want to be very clear about this. You are saying that the elder Masselli, Billy Masselli, is a member of organized crime, and you're not
Well,
sure about the son?
Now, he is currently incarcerated by the federal authorities in an investigation which may involve organized crime. We are seeking out the federal authorities to confer with them.
How many witnesses were there?
I can't divulge that at this time.
You said that he could have been shot by a person in the front seat as he had turned his head to look to the left. That would have been away from the front passenger.
Yes. Possibly, or more likely, he was shot from, okay, gentlemen?
Just
If I might,
just about,
there has been,
come around the front.
there's a lot of conjecture. In reference to an ongoing investigation, we're speaking specifically of Billy the Butcher Pellegrino Masselli, Senator Joe Gallagher, and Nat Masselli, the son. Is there any reason to believe that there is any substance to these?
As you've indicated, anything is speculation. So far, all our investigation is speculation. We have no solid grounds to believe that he was involved in any way.
One officer said that he had been instructed not to say anything because this was a very heavy case. What makes this, if it is a mob run now, so I mean, they knock these guys off almost every day, why is this so different? Because
It's not any different than any other complete investigation in all our homicides. Every plug is pulled, we don't stop any place.
Investigator in this area, appreciating how the person was killed, the fact that there was a car behind, would you venture to say that this was, 1, a planned murder, 2, a murder done by professionals, efficiency and dispatch?
Speculation, pure speculation. Anything that I would say in that area was speculation. At
If
this
the person
time.
was in the car,
Well, we can't proceed on assumptions to that extent, you know.
is that an assumption that the person was in the car? Do you believe that the person was in the car based on
Oh, yes, we believe.
The murder victim lived in this complex in Scarsdale off Central Avenue. I was not exactly welcomed with open arms. You don't know the guy?
I heard it on the radio this morning.
Well, do you know this guy at all, Masselli?
No. I live in Harrison. It's about 8 miles from
He
here.
lives in there.
Oh, he lives right next door.
Yeah.
I was here until 4 o'clock yesterday.
No, this happened last
Oh,
night.
last night.
Right here it happened?
No, it happened Van Cortlandt Park, the Bronx. But you guys didn't know him.
How old was the guy?
31? His father was in the can. His father's supposed to be a racketeer.
No, sorry.
Knock your truck up?
You wanna go check the light? It's all right.
It's all right until somebody do something.
I'll throw it away. Who else? Who else actually? Okay, can you tell us what you saw and heard last night?
Yeah, I came up about 8:15. Came over, I seen the man slumped over in the Lincoln Continental. It was smashed into this car, which was smashed into that tree over there. And we came over, people tried to revive him, see what was wrong with him, but nothing happened. He was dead. That's about it.
Did you have any idea who the victim was?
No, I never seen him. Never knew who he was, nothing.
All right, let's go over here. Can you recount what you saw and heard?
I saw a Continental crash into this car, drag it about 10 feet, and crash to a tree. And I saw a man get out of the passenger side of his Continental and get into another car, which drove up and took off.
How would you describe the car that this man got into?
That took off? It was red, and I can't really describe it in detail. I just saw it all happen very quickly, and it's very weird.
The man that got out of the Continental and got into the red car, was there another man at the wheel of the red car?
Yeah, driving it. Someone came and picked him up.
Had any of you heard any shooting or anything like that?
No, just a lot of crashing, a lot of noise. It's just a strange situation.
All right.
Kevin.
Let me get some cutaways.
It's Kevin Muldoon.
Spell the whole name.
For the TV? Oh, I said it. K-V-I-N-M-U-L-D.
How close do you live near here?
I live in the neighborhood.
Right, spell the name again.
M-U-L-D.
No, stay, please, the way you were.
Sorry.
Exactly the way you were.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
M-U-L-D-O-O-N.
The whole name.
Kevin, K-E-V-I-N. Is that it? Muldoon. M-U-L-D-O-O-N. Sorry. That's it. Two-day fist.
Were you guys at the time playing ball over here?
Yeah,
everyone was just sitting out over there.
It's about
All right, well, then, we have your name?
Paul Cruz.
Spell it.
P-A-U-L-C-R-U-Z.
What kind of ball were you playing?
I was just over there sitting at the park watching them play basketball.
Yeah.
Came over. I thought it was a traffic accident at first.
Yeah, that's what I'm going. Yeah.
And we just thought the man was unconscious. Found out later he was dead.
Yeah. All right, why don't we get some from...
Northeast.
Yeah, it's called the North Bronx.
4757 Prison. Nice quiet neighborhood.
Let's go over here now. We go over from... what area is this?
It's the Northeast Bronx. Nice quiet section. Anything else?
Where do you go to school?
When I go to school, I go to college, in the University of Buffalo.
Good school?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Post had a wrong address. Yeah, okay. Typical. Is he still waiting for us? Thank you.
We're just watching.
Huh?
Just watching.
That's a pretty old car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jerry.
The Donovan File is about the ways of Washington and how some of America's brightest and most powerful officials got themselves tangled up in a web of stupidity or incompetence, or maybe just plain dishonesty. Donovan is Raymond Donovan, who used to be Secretary of Labor in Ronald Reagan's cabinet before he resigned under indictment for fraud and grand larceny. At issue, did the White House cover up? Did top FBI officials deliberately lie to the U.S. Senate about information they had linking Raymond Donovan to known organized crime figures? Last March, Raymond Donovan became the first sitting cabinet secretary in U.S. history to resign under indictment. And sometime over the next several months, Donovan and 9 others will stand trial in the Bronx, New York, for fraud and grand larceny. But this is not a story about the guilt or innocence of Raymond Donovan or the company he co-owns, Schiavone Construction. That remains for a jury to decide. When Ronald Reagan was running for president back in 1976 and again in 1980, Raymond Donovan was one of his most effective fundraisers. At Donovan's company-owned Fiddler's Elbow Country Club in September of 1979, with Frank Sinatra on hand, Donovan raised $150,000 in a single night. He raised $500,000 altogether.
We know we have made you and Nancy happy today, but in November, we're going to make you proud. Thanks for coming.
A month after the 1980 election, Ronald Reagan rewarded Donovan with a key position, not unusual for a big contributor, nominating the then unknown wealthy construction executive from New Jersey to be his Secretary of Labor. The Donovan nomination, of course, would have to be approved by the Senate.
This is the room where the Senate Labor Committee held hearings into Donovan's past and into his fitness to be Secretary of Labor. Chairman Orrin Hatch, a Republican, sat over there. Some of the senators who would later vote against the nomination, Democrats Kennedy, Eagleton, Regal, sat over there. One key question was this: did Raymond Donovan, as some had alleged, did Donovan have ties to the mafia, to organized crime?
It was extraordinary. Top FBI officials brought into a Senate proceeding to testify about a White House cabinet nominee's alleged connections to known mobsters. And all the while, the nominee was sitting in the same room listening.
The FBI reassured a nervous committee and gave Raymond Donovan a clean bill of health. But the fireworks began here when the senators asked Donovan himself about those organized crime rumors.
You asked me about unfounded, scurrilous, groundless allegations. Have any ever been made against you that were groundless, scurrilous, from a murdering slime? I'm from a great state, New Jersey. But if you're in the contracting business, it seems, in this country, you're suspect. If you're in the contracting business in New Jersey, you're indictable. If you're in the contracting business in New Jersey and you're Italian, you're convicted.
The most serious charge had come from a small-time mobster, a protected government witness named Ralph Picardo, who had told the FBI and the committee staff that Donovan had given him payoffs in the 1960s to buy labor peace for Schiavone Construction.
Picardo is lying. I know he's lying. In past cases where he has testified, there are witnesses, I'm assured by my attorney, who call him a wacko, off the wall, full of, okay, and pathological liar.
But the allegations were so disturbing that the astonishing suggestion was made more than once in this room by more than one senator that the president's nominee actually submit himself to a lie detector test. Senator Thomas Eagleton asked the question.
What would there be to lose in this matter, Mr. Donovan, if you were to take the polygraph exam, if you pass it with flying colors, administered by the FBI?
What would it do to me? Insult my dignity? The mere fact to submit to one? Insult the Cabinet Office of Secretary of Labor? And I would hope insult the American people and their sense of justice and their sense of pride in our process.
But that process somehow had broken down. For over the next year and a half, long after Donovan had been confirmed, the Senate Labor Committee little by little discovered that key FBI information damaging to Donovan had been withheld from the Senate. As we said, the FBI had given Donovan a clean bill of health. This is what the number 2 man at the FBI, Francis Mullen, had told the Senate committee.
In summary, the FBI has conducted a thorough, exhaustive inquiry within a limited period of time and has reviewed an extensive amount of records made available to us. This investigation did not develop information to substantiate the allegations made against Mr. Donovan.
But the committee became so concerned that the FBI had not told them everything that they decided to hire a special counsel to probe the FBI's conduct in the Donovan confirmation hearings. Republican Committee Chairman Senator Orrin Hatch chose a former federal prosecutor, a Democrat named John Flannery.
What were your conclusions at the end of your investigation?
My conclusion was that the FBI withheld material information from the U.S. Senate in connection with the confirmation hearings of Raymond Donovan.
Knowingly withheld?
Knowingly, consciously withheld, and later admitted that they withheld.
You have seen some of the new information from FBI internal files that is now becoming public in the Bronx Donovan case.
That's correct.
How does it relate to your findings?
It's damning of the conclusions that we already had. It's damning that they were obviously withholding the information, that they were involved in a cover-up.
It turns out that in the late 70s, Donovan's firm, Schiavone Construction, worked on a $186 million federally funded New York subway project. For Schiavone to get that contract under the law, 10% of the work had to be subcontracted out to a minority business. Authorities say that with startup money from Schiavone, a New York State senator named Joseph Gallagher and this man, William Billy the Butcher Masselli, formed a dummy minority front company called Jopel, a company really run by Masselli, a reputed soldier in the Genovese crime family. From January to July 1979, as part of a long-standing organized crime investigation, the FBI wiretapped Masselli's office in the Bronx, New York. And from atop this building, directly underneath this sign, FBI agents kept a long-range surveillance on Masselli. It was one of the longest-running, costliest federal wiretaps and surveillances in FBI history, renewed by FBI Director William Webster and by a federal judge 6 times. The FBI wiretap cost $1 million, and according to the FBI, it contains over 1,000 incriminating conversations.
Raymond Donovan is specifically mentioned by name 6 times on the Masselli wiretaps. And Schiavone Construction and its executives, including Donovan, are mentioned 351 times. But that is not what the Senate was told back in 1981, when the chairman of the Labor Committee, Senator Orrin Hatch, who had never heard of the Masselli wiretaps, questioned the FBI's number 2 official, Francis Mullen.
You've conducted also, since 1969, an extensive number of court-ordered Title III electronic surveillances involving organized crime or labor-related matters.
That's correct.
And is it correct to say you have found absolutely nothing pertaining to Schiavone on all of those wiretaps?
That's correct, Senator. And we located no reference to Mr. Donovan or Schiavone Construction Company.
All right.
But as we said, the fact is that Donovan is mentioned 6 times, and Schiavone Construction and its executives more than 300 times on those wiretaps. I asked Senator Orrin Hatch about that.
I have to admit, as chairman of the Labor Committee, I was damn mad, and I still am to this day.
Why did they keep from the Senate information about the FBI wiretaps of William Masselli?
Because probably they thought it would block the nomination of Mr. Donovan. I can't think of another explanation.
There were other damning documents and materials. This February 1979 FBI affidavit citing a wiretap excerpt in which Masselli discusses his subcontracting relationship with Schiavone Construction as second to none. This March 1979 internal FBI memo outlining the suspected fraud by Jopel and Schiavone. And this January 10th, 1981 teletype from the New York FBI office to FBI Director William Webster in Washington, which describes fraudulent schemes between Masselli and Schiavone Construction, and also tells of a wiretap excerpt in which William Masselli talks about a social affair he will be attending with Raymond Donovan.
None of those documents were made available by the FBI to the Senate committee as it considered the Donovan nomination. Yet it is those very documents, among others revealing the relationship between Donovan's company, Schiavone, and William Masselli and his firm, Jopel, that are at the center of the criminal case today against Raymond Donovan. Labor Committee member Senator Donald Regal.
Well, it's clear from the record that the FBI did make the decision not to give us the facts that they had. And in fact, went further than that. I think they misled us.
What's the difference between withholding information and flat-out lying?
I'm not sure there is a difference. I think in answer to a direct question, when they don't give an honest response, that in effect becomes a lie.
But there is more. 4 days before the Donovan Senate hearings began in 1981, this FBI agent, Lawrence Sweeney, was explicitly ordered to destroy all his notes about an informant's allegations that Donovan was linked to known organized crime figures. And Sweeney was also ordered not to recontact his informant. These revelations have come to light only in recent months in the Bronx court case. The FBI declined to permit Sweeney to talk to 60 Minutes. Again, Senator Hatch and his committee knew none of this when he questioned the FBI's second-in-command, Francis Mullen.
Your total investigation, going through at least 5 years of checks, and really more than that if you consider the prior investigations, indicates that there is nothing wrong with this company. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, Senator. If it's there, we haven't found it.
What they did was withhold information. Mr. Mullen and the FBI agents working under him, they withheld, and I think that's very deplorable.
Labor Committee member Senator Thomas Eagleton.
If Mr. Donovan had connections with mob figures, or if his company, of which he was vice president, the Schiavone Construction Company, was mobbed up, to use the vernacular, That would be a very, very negative thing for the American people to have an individual sitting in at the highest councils of government in the cabinet of the United States.
To this day, Raymond Donovan stoutly denies any ties to organized crime figures. And in fact, neither Donovan nor the company he co-owns have ever been convicted of anything. Donovan says he believes that he'll be exonerated of the fraud and grand larceny charges in the Bronx, and that the Masselli wiretap references to him prove nothing. But the former Labor Secretary declined to be interviewed on camera for this broadcast. But the issue before the Senate in 1981 was Donovan's fitness to serve. And even before his nomination to be Secretary of Labor was announced, it turns out that then Reagan Chief of Staff Ed Meese had already heard allegations of possible organized crime ties to Donovan. But as he explained during his own confirmation hearing to become Attorney General,
Director Webster responded to me that he had checked with the background investigators and there was nothing that would reflect on Mr. Donovan or any reason for the President to hold up on the announcement of his potential nomination.
it appears that another man at the White House, counsel to the President, Fred Fielding, knew about the Masselli wiretap information but never told the Senate. And as these FBI documents indicate, Fielding turned down an FBI request for agents to interrogate Raymond Donovan himself.
Senator, the FBI wanted to interview Ray Donovan in the middle of all this, which seems a sensible thing to do. White House counsel Fred Fielding says, no, you can't. What conclusion are we supposed to draw from that?
A most negative conclusion. In my 18 years in the Senate, I've never heard of a situation where someone intervened to prevent a cabinet nominee from being interviewed by the FBI. If I'm asked to do an investigation, why don't I do it from A to Z without any intervention from the White House saying we'll only go from A to C?
Are you saying, Mr. Flannery, that senior aides to President-elect Reagan, senior aides to the FBI Director William Webster, knew about possible organized crime ties of Ray Donovan and let that nomination go ahead nonetheless?
That's correct.
Well, if those FBI wiretaps were not enough to keep the Reagan administration from nominating Raymond Donovan to be Secretary of Labor, they did help convince a Bronx, New York grand jury to indict Donovan and 9 others for fraud and grand larceny. Bronx DA Mario Merola spent a year, and he needed 6 federal court orders to force the FBI and the Justice Department to give him access to the famous Masselli wiretaps and related documents.
A good deal of the evidence in the Donovan case came from an FBI investigation.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
We asked District Attorney Merola to speculate why, with $1 million wiretap and extensive investigation, why the FBI and the Justice Department failed to prosecute Donovan.
Well, I suspect that the whole thing was political. Obviously, I think it was political in the sense that if they went ahead, it would have implicated the possible Secretary of Labor. Here you have dedicated FBI agents who are going ahead and deduce legal evidence, which obviously call for them to go forward in certain areas, in certain directions, and they're being called off. What does that say to you? It means that somebody called them off.
But that order would have to come from somebody very close to Ronald Reagan.
And it'd have to come from certainly on top of the FBI and people in the White House.
The strange irony of this case is that Bronx DA Merola had no idea that he would be seeking a fraud and grand larceny indictment of Raymond Donovan. Instead, Merola was looking into what he thought were just a couple of gangland murders. One of the murdered men was William Masselli's son, Nat. And it was as part of that murder investigation that Merola got the FBI wiretaps.
Weren't you surprised when you found out where they were leading?
Absolutely.
I mean, you didn't know that Ray Donovan was going to be mentioned.
Absolutely not. At the time, we thought we were looking at homicides. That's absolutely correct.
Mr. Flannery, are you saying that the White House and the FBI deliberately lied to the Senate Labor Committee during the course of the Labor Committee's investigation into Raymond Donovan?
I'm saying that the FBI covered up information it had that was material to the Senate's inquiry. I'm saying the question remains what exactly the White House knew, but I do not believe that the FBI did it without cooperation from someone in the White House.
Republican Committee Chairman Hatch.
You know, I can't justify the White House. All I can say is that they should have been the first to want to investigate this matter, get to the bottom of it, and find out whether this was a person who should or should not have been confirmed.
Senator Donald Regal.
I think they were in a rush to reward somebody that had been a good political foot soldier, raised a lot of money for the president, And once he was nominated, their desire was to shove him on through, and they succeeded.
A cover-up, of course, would require collusion between the White House and the FBI. For this broadcast, we requested on-camera interviews with White House counsel Fred Fielding, Attorney General Ed Meese, FBI Director William Webster, and former FBI No. 2 official Francis Mullen. All declined to speak to us.